Okay, so we are this weekend supposed to be working on the following things. I made this little calendar. If you can see this, I put it in e-cadence of what's going on this week as requested. This is what's happening in class, and the red is what is going on for homework. We did not get to these reading question discussions on Friday, so we will briefly look over these and talk about the super important ones. This should have been done, so make sure you read or have read these book pages all about oil production, what's renewable, what's not renewable, some pros and cons associated with energy that's used for transportation, the whole explanation how we get fossil fuels and turn them into energy, those steps for coal formation, the peat moss and the lignite and the bituminous and the anthracite, know that whole story. Know what crude oil is and natural gas and what is oil shale and what is methane hydrate and how is it energy. What is this definition? What's a proven reserve? How do we refine? There's a picture in your book in these pages that shows how it's balanced out by boiling point and everything settles out, and how we use each part of the crude oil for a different kind of fuel or a different kind of energy. And then there's this thing called a Hubert's Peak in your book. Make sure you know what it is and the concept of it and what it has to do with sustainability. So that should already be done. That's stuff we were doing last week. This weekend, you should have this transportation audit. You should have answered those questions already. You also should have started like Thursday, Friday, filling in all the stuff for these cars. And now we know what an odometer is. I hope you looked at the remind, just that thing that says the total miles of your car. So the total miles after, so say your first reading was 100,432 miles, and then after 24 hours, maybe it was 100,510 miles, you would take the 510 minus the 432 to get your total miles. Oh, whoops, I did that in the totally wrong spot. 100,432. 100,510. This is where your total would go. So whatever 510 minus 432 is, 78. So you'd put 78 here. And then you would find out what your odometer reading is after another 24 hours, making a total of 48 hours. So maybe it was 1,000, I don't know, 566. So then you would take this 566 minus this 432, and you got 134 miles total for the 2 days. And then you would look at what kind of car you have. Google it. How many miles per gallon does it get? Maybe it gets, I don't, just guessing, 25 miles per gallon. And then you could do some math here to find out how many gallons of gas did you use to accomplish this. So it would just be a division here. So 134 divided by 25. I put minus, that didn't look right. 134 divided by 25. 5.36. So I used about 5.36 gallons. And that was in 2 days. How much would I use in a month? So I would just do that times 15 because I have a 2-day value. So 5.36 times 15, we assume 30 days in a month. 80.4, and I would put that here. And then I would figure out for a year, I would take that month, there's 12 months in a year, so I would just multiply that by 12. 964.8, and I'd put that here, 964.8. And I would do that with all the cars I have in my household, if applicable. And then the flights, you should have already figured out, but you have to just kind of Google the miles, and the more people, the more multiplications you have to do. And then it tells you up on this page how to calculate the fuel for the airplane, and then you would do your math here. So after you do that, you've got 6 problems to answer. Calculate the total amount of gas your family uses in one day. Remember, you collected for 2 days, so you're going to take this 2-day thing right here for all these guys and just put it in half. So if you have 3 cars, take all these, add them up, and divide by 2 to get half of it, or multiply it by 0.5, and that would answer this question 1. And then again, for the whole month, you would just take this month value right here and add these all together, whatever, how many cars you have. If you just have one, it's easy. And then the plane one, and then all the gas car plus plane. So all of this added to all of your plane stuff, and that would go there. And then you just kind of compare. So there's 2 questions to compare with. So that should be done. And then the other thing you want to look at is this guy, the proposal tool. So you should be able to answer this side 1, 2, and 3. And then you should be able to put in perspective. The dimensional analysis is just your calculations on that other worksheet. How much do you use in comparison to state, national, and global? We'll do that together on Tuesday, tomorrow. And then we should be able to answer these things. This and the electric one, we're not doing yet. We're building up to it. So if you've already done this, you're probably going to need to change it after some information we learn as we acquire it. I'm not saying what you did is wrong, but your mind or point of view might get changed. So just be prepared to edit or revise this if you've already done it. And that is kind of what we're doing tomorrow. And then we're going to jump into some notes on Wednesday. You should be kind of writing your proposal for transportation and electricity should be done. Then we're going to get into air pollution. We will peer edit what we've written so far. So if you have nothing, it's going to be awkward because we are going to edit each other's proposals thus far. The point is that we're going to have these proposals very, very polished because it is your capstone and it is your final, final for the quarter project. So we're going to have lots of time to revise and fix it. And then Friday, we're going to move into water, and I'll explain that in another class session and probably a video as well. Okay, so see you guys tomorrow.